Fantastic. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the March 28th, 2024 Winesburg Unified School District Board Meeting. I'm calling this meeting to order at 5 p.m. exactly. Wendy, do we have any public comments on closed session items?
We do not.
All right. Seeing that we do not have any comments, we will now move to closed session and we will reconvene at 6 p.m. for open session. Thank you, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Winesburg Unified School District Board Meeting. This is March 28th, 2024. Calling this meeting to order at 6:04 p.m. This evening, we have three special presentations. Well, actually one special presentation. It's from NAZ on the Measure EE bond program. I think update number 9 now. And then we have two other presentations as part of our district administration staff. And we have Albert Paredes, the principal at AMSA, that will be speaking or writing a snapshot. Thank you, Robert. Working on it. We'll provide a snapshot on 2023-24 years. We're looking forward to that. And then we have another presentation from Ms. Sarah Nitzos that will be, she'll be talking about our data assessments district-wide. So looking forward to that, and that'll be both for math and reading as well. So with that, Wendy, would you please do the honors and take roll call?
Mr. Benuelos?
Present.
Dr. Goldman?
Present.
Ms. Jackie?
Present.
Ms. Legaspi? Present. Mr. Martinez?
Present.
Thank you.
All right. Nisha, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Ready? Begin. I live
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Yeah, no actions to report from closed session this evening. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Is that Rebecca?
Yeah.
Thank you, Rebecca.
You have a second.
Thank you, Neil. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Right. We have, I believe, one public comment
Yeah.
on the agenda.
We do, is everything okay? Sorry, Kelly Shoemaker.
Is that loud enough?
I'm gonna get called to the principal's office. Hi, how are you? I just had 3 quick things today. I'm Kelly Shoemaker. I'm a TK teacher at Holly Glen School. At the last board meeting, Mr. Benuelos suggested a committee to review the Aflac dental program and if that's the best choice. And I was wondering if if that committee was formed, if in addition to HR people and CSEA and WFA people, maybe we could ask if there are any family members or community people who are HR people or work with insurance in places, because it's a very niche thing. And maybe they might have some perspective or information that we don't have or that would help us make a good decision. My second thing was at the Holly Glen TK meetings yesterday, several of our TK teachers are also living in Holly Glen. There are many community members who don't understand that if their child turns 5 by September 2nd, 2024, between September 22nd, 2024 and June 2nd, 2025, they are eligible for TK. That information is on the Holly Glen website. But I think for people for whom this is their first child in school, they're confused. So I'm wondering how we can get that information out so that we can decide how many TK classes we have next year. And then my last one is a thank you for the TK planning day that we had last Wednesday. Lisa Wilbert, our Holly Glen principal, thought of it and helped organize it. And then Dr. Harbeck found the money to make it happen. And all of the TK teachers in the district were released. And we had a whole day at Holly Glen where we reviewed developmentally appropriate curricular materials. We started our list of what materials we thought every TK classroom should have so that students and parents, no matter what room they're in, have access to quality instructional and play materials. And then thank you to Dr. Silvers and Dr. Harbeck for coming the last hour. They listened to our concerns, they answered questions, we pondered about things we weren't sure about, but we really felt heard. I'm very grateful for that day, and we'd like another one so we can finish what we didn't finish. But it was a great day, it was a great start for our team, so thank you.
Thank you. Hi. I think we'll be calling up for a special presentation.
Sure. Okay, I'm sorry, we're on 6. So we'll call up for the short,
Or
WUSD measure, Measure E bond program update, number 9.
Welcome, Noemi.
Thank you, everyone. Good night. Good evening.
Good Well done.
So it is a short presentation, as you can see. It'll be the other half of our update. As you know, at the last board meeting, I did half of our Measure EE bond program update. We have a lot of projects currently in the works. That's why we have to split it into 2 presentations. And then we'll conclude with some general updates. Okay, so the first update, I did have this slide at the last board meeting on March 14th. I decided to bring it because we do have some new updates. This is for the data center improvement project. As you know, we were initially looking to award the contractor for this project, but we were pending DSA approval. I am pleased to report that we received board approval today around 2 p.m. And we were able to update our presentation to reflect that. Therefore, we are not pulling that contract again. We're leaving it and we'll award it later this evening. I'm also happy to report that, as you can see, we had allocated approximately $150,000 in construction cost and hard cost. Because we were able to select our contractor, we were able to negotiate the fee and we were able to bring him down to a little bit below $130,000. So there's an immediate savings for this project. Same thing, later this evening, you'll be presented with a request to approve the inspector of record. For this project is the Pringle Group. And we were able to also negotiate the fees down for that project. Right now, we're showing a not to exceed fee of $15,000 for 60 days based on our schedule. But again, it's not to exceed, and it was higher than that. So we brought it down to $15,000. The last thing I want to mention on this slide is that we were initially, based on our award of March 14th, we're supposed to start on April 1st. The contractor is already working on the agreements and the insurance requirements, so we were on track, not necessarily to start April 1st, but just shortly a few days later. We are also working on the submittal so that we can get we issued a notice of intent to award so the contractor can start working on procuring the fire suppression system, which is a long lead item. We'll be able to start quickly with the non-DSA work, which is about 90% of the work is non-DSA, with the only DSA portion of it is a fire suppression system. Yes.
Really quick, I know you work with Sandy Bringle past experience. Is that 15,000 for my own edification, hard cost or soft cost? Soft cost.
It's actually soft cost.
Okay, I figured so, but I just want to be sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Where should we? Oh, there you go. What? Did you disappear? Sorry about that. You're cute.
Good evening.
This is our favorite project, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Big gift.
Sorry for bringing the house down a moment ago. I'm all good. So thank you, Noemi. Good evening, board. Good evening, cabinet, and good evening, members of the public. I am here to talk about the second phase of the network infrastructure project. I know we have presented on this project previously. And I wanted to state that we're not starting over, but we did definitely take a pause and needed to reassess and we have done so. We have since met with Cisco. We traveled to Cisco, myself and Blake, met and interviewed the potential solutions provider. The solutions provider selected is NWN Carousel. We have since conducted our project kickoff meeting. We had that meeting here on the 21st. It was a very large meeting, very productive meeting. The provider is very aware of the importance of this project to the district and the community and the stakeholders. And they are doing everything that they can to ensure that we expedite the schedule, but ensure that everything that's needed for the district for this comprehensive plan is covered, and they're providing proper solutions. So we are currently meeting, myself and the team are currently meeting with NWN twice weekly at this time to do all the fact gathering information. We actually had a meeting this afternoon with Quan and the team, and we have set the assessments to begin on April 9th and 10th. So it's going to be like a 2-day process. There's a lot of information that needs to be gathered during that time. NWN will be coming in. They'll be working with our team and Quan, and they're going to be reviewing the data center. So looking at the IDS, the MDS, inventorying all the equipment that there is currently in place. They're going to be looking at all the sites, looking at clocks, bells, and PAs. They're going to be looking at all the cabling infrastructure, so all the wiring that's currently in place to ensure that it's adequate for this comprehensive overhaul that's going to be needed for the district. They're going to be looking at WAPs, which are the wireless access points, to see the distance that those currently go, to see if we need to expand upon Wi-Fi to make coverage outside of the classroom available. They're going to be looking at access controls and other components of the project to ensure that the solution that they bring to the board is a very comprehensive solution to take you into the next century and to get the district where they want to go. So that's that. Do I hit enter?
I have.
You have to.
Oh, you got more on?
I have one more
Go ahead.
slide. Good. So the assessments that I just spoke about are approximately a 4-week duration. They're running everything concurrently. If they have enough manpower to do it concurrently, otherwise we'd be looking at a much longer planning and schedule timeline. And again, we are trying our best to ensure that we have deployment and we're kicking off the implementation of the systems by end of June of this year. I can't give you at this time the total implementation plan and rollout of every component of the project until they have completed their assessments. They take all the fact gathering and they have their technical expertise review everything to then make a recommended and proposed solution to the district. Yes.
Is it our plan to, I see end of June, to roll over to test the new system during the summer so that when we launch the new year, we are good to go? And do we have enough users during the summer to actually do that?
So I'm not, at this time, I can't speak to exactly what component of the project will start in the beginning of June. I'd say right now they need to do all their fact gathering and then provide a recommendation and an implementation plan. From there too, prior to us knowing exactly what is going to be approved and we're gonna start to install and bring up and running, we need to have them provide the recommendation, we need to review the recommendation, and we need to agree to what those solutions are going to be. But the one thing that they may start with is wiring. If it's determined that the wiring needs to be upgraded amongst district and district-wide sites, they're going to start with the wiring first. Does that answer your question?
So this is pretty comprehensive.
It's
This
very
is
comprehensive.
Public address. This is impacting everything. So I think it's fair to say that this is going to be probably a phased project that
It is gonna be
that
phased.
will not be complete in the
Yes.
summer. So I want to make
It's
sure that.
gonna
By
be
August
phased, and
1st.
that's why I don't want to misspeak, because I
Yeah.
know we've come before you, we've come before the community and the stakeholders, and we've, provided a message that has not been accurate.
It
And
just
so-
struck me as we're going through this, we're talking about all the logistics and the hardware and the wiring, et cetera, makes sense. Where I'm actually more concerned at this moment is the transition for staff, for teachers. How impactful will it be on them? How do we minimize that impact and how do we prepare them for the impact?
And that's a great question, and that we don't have all those answers. I do know that the software and the dashboard that we're looking at that would have all of the systems talk to one dashboard. It's extremely user-friendly. We're actually going to be visiting the Cisco sites, again in May. And this time it's going to be myself, Blake, there's going to be district staff. The 2 members of our FOC are going to join us as well. District IT is going to join us. So we want to make sure that this is something that the district is on board with. They understand, the potential solutions that are going to be proposed and how everything integrates to each other. So it is more user-friendly. So it can be easily accessible by staff. So it's not a huge learning curve and a lot of professional development.
And have an opportunity to ask all the right questions.
Yeah.
So my request would be in a future presentation, and I'm not sure who would do this, Ken, would be what is the rollout plan to prepare the staff that's very planned, detailed, timeline, et cetera.
And that, I think we'll be able to come back to you and give you more of that information in end of May or June. It is planned that May is when we're going to be reviewing the proposed solutions. Once we agree to the plan, we will be coming back to the board in June during a June board meeting to present the recommendation and the contract award. So at that time, we'll have the implementation plan. We'll know what the phases are going to be and what the overall plan and project will look like. So we'll have more information then.
So I would just add too, that one of the things that there were a few things that we were looking at when we first of all, I should say this. One thing we know for sure is we need to redo our network. We need a reconstruction of our network. The current network, the current internet, wireless, is not conducive for the work that we do long-term. So we needed to fix that. Second piece of it was we're a small district. We have a small staff, a small IT staff. So we wanted to put together a solution that was, simple, I guess, simple to manage, simple to look at. The dashboard was easy enough so that we could, so multiple people in a small district could actually look at it, monitor. And also we wanted to make sure that it was comprehensive. So we're looking at this network infrastructure technology project also as a safety security project as well, because a lot of these solutions for safety and security are connected directly to that network. So looking at camera systems, looking at access control answers, as Shuri shared, it's all part of this process. Probably, and I'm going to just throw out a number just from conversation, you're talking about a $15 to $18 million project all in with those access controls and cameras and PA systems and phones and the like. But so it could be a cash flow issue for the district, but I just want to say that part of one of Cisco's outreach, should we go with Cisco, one of their outreach opportunities is they will do a 0%, zero fee loan so that we could actually get a quicker start on this and a more comprehensive start on it and not have to do it so phased out that we're waiting for money down the road. So that's why we're excited actually to get from NWN Carousel a full-on proposal or the full scope of work that will include all of those items that typically we would have actually had to wait. We would have been able to do 1 or 2 things at a time, waited for another bond draw, or had to slow down some other projects or maybe push some other projects to a later date. So really excited to be able to see this in its totality, to bring to the board hopefully a solution where we can actually implement this solution, all of the solutions over the next year or year and a half or whatever it ends up being, so that we're in a better place. So that is the plan.
Thank you. Thank you, Blake, for expanding. Is there any other questions? No?
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving on to the next project, is the Del Air modernization project. NAC Architects is our firm. We have completed 100% design development phase. We recently received a cost estimate for this project. It came in at $9.8 million. And this is hard cost only, just to point that out. We are in the process of going out for leaseback procurement for this project, so for preliminary services. We recently had a pre-proposal meeting with all the potential leaseback contractors that are interested in responding to our RQP. And we had a great turnout. Our goal is to bring forward a recommendation for preliminary services for leaseback contractor at the May 9th board meeting. For this project, I just wanted to point out that even though we're showing $9.8 million for the hard cost. Just keep in mind that from the facilities master plan, the budget was $16.1 million. Just remember that you're accustomed to seeing that budget allocation there. That is the Series A allocation. Fortunately, the way this project will be sequenced, the start of it, it'll be at around the same time that we receive the Series B dollars. Our goal as bringing in this lease-back contractor early during the final design stage, which is construction document phase, is to help us further review the drawings and specifications to find any errors, omissions, gaps, potential areas for value engineering, cost-effective measures, to hopefully bring that $9.8 million down. As a reminder, this is a bare bones modernization. It is a refresh. We're not gutting to studs, it's just finishes. But there is a lot of equipment that's being replaced. All HVAC equipment is being replaced, PA, clocks, intrusion, everything. Audio-visual, electrical, plumbing, all the restrooms are being redone. It's much needed. And even though it's $9.8 million, I mean, that is just the cost of our bidding climate, so unfortunately. Any questions on this? Yes.
I mean, did we have a list of pre-qualified lease-back contractors already, or no?
Don't believe so, right, Troy?
As far as like a pool, you're asking for a pool, no, we don't have a pool.
Okay, so-
Not since we started.
Yeah,
So we started everything.
project. Okay,
Correct.
Yeah, I just couldn't remember.
Public
On that 9.8 million, on our agenda tonight is something with Psychologic that the CEC, I think, is potentially helping us fund. Would that not reduce that potentially?
It would, yes. There would be some money towards that
For the HVAC unit.
for the
Absolutely, yeah.
HVAC
yeah.
and,
But that's not
potentially
immaterial
the
amount.
control systems.
Yeah, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. potentially.
Potentially. So and that's not even including the potential funding that we'll get from state matching funds when this site becomes eligible, which I believe is in 2026.
Thank you.
So we are going after, as I mentioned earlier, we are going after every potential dollar that is available, whether it's a form of state matching fund or grant. This is just worst case, us paying for it out of the bond, but we will be able to receive some offset. Also regarding Del Air, as you know, the district has gone through a rebranding as well as other processes during the facilities master plan process. Educational standards were approved as part of the facilities master plan. Once we came on board as a program management team, we brought in LPA to help us develop design standards so that we can standardize building materials as well. And with the rebranding also opened up an opportunity for us to look at new potential logos and new color palettes. As you can see, this is the logo that was approved for Del Air with its own color set or color palette. We are in the process of also working with LPA on developing furniture, fixtures, and equipment standards. We are looking for very durable equipment and furniture. We're being very specific. It has to be at least 10+ years warranty. Most furniture that is out there is below 5 years. So we're being particular, but also doing our research and making sure it's cost effective as well. We are also in the process of working with the district to develop a FF&E, which is furniture, fixtures, and equipment for short, FF&E committee to help us solicit input. And once we have that committee, we'll present some options, and from those options, there'll be some furniture that will be selected for us to test in the form of a pilot program. We'll identify certain grade levels, perhaps TK Kinder, maybe a 3rd grade, maybe a 5th grade, and yesterday at one of our school sites, they brought up, well, how about special ed? We would love for you guys to test out a special ed classrooms, just in case we have different type of furniture. That we'll definitely consider that. And it'll be an opportunity to get feedback from our committee, which will be made up of educators. And we'll also open during that pilot program the opportunity for the rest of our teachers to come and test out the furniture, vote on it, determine what works, what doesn't. I mean, we are definitely open to user feedback. With that, because of the new rebranding and our processes to date, and during the design process, we used I shouldn't say we, the architect and their professional interior designers developed a set of potential interior finishes that has been vetted. It has gone through various levels. Initially, it went through we presented some options to the district along with the principal at Del Air. And then from there, we brought those other remaining options to the facilities committee. And from the facilities committee, we're bringing the final recommendation forward to you guys. I do have some samples here. No, you guys.
It's not, it's not, it's fair.
This goes inside.
Yeah.
So if I may really quick. Those are the carpet tiles.
What am I gonna do, just throw it on top? This isn't real conducive. How about I leave it here?
Yeah.
If you feel.
Yeah,
Rather than. Pop it.
So this is the main entrance to the site. Where is it? Right here.
Yeah.
All right, it's hard to see when you're this close. And the intent of having two different colors is to, the way that Del Air is split up is by grades. So this is the primary grades and these are the upper grades. We felt that these primary grades should have more light and playful color. And that's where you can see. It's a mixture of carpet tiles, like you see here, for the primary grades, along with luxury vinyl tile. That's the color that you see for wet areas. And then in the corridors is this gray tile that you see here, which is luxury vinyl tile, extremely durable. It won't scratch, doesn't require much maintenance. So that's also one of the things that we're looking at. So this is the corridors. And then you'll see these areas that are highlighted. This is the orange that will go in there, would tie in. This is where the main entrance to these classrooms are. So you'll see a set of 4 doors here, and then another set of 4 doors, and another set of 4 doors. These are the wet areas, and the rest is carpet. The beauty of going with carpet tiles is that in comparison to roll furniture, if there's a stain, if there's a damage, if there's a tear, you can easily remove that and replace it. It will have 10% attic stock at every site to allow for that ease of change without having to completely replace the entire carpet. The same logic applies for the upper grades. It'll be this color that you see here for those that you can't see it here, along with the luxury vinyl tile that will be at the main entrance of the classrooms. And again, a combination of this in the wet areas. For the main library, for the main office and library, we'll go in with the same little bit more professional colors, if you will, not so light and playful. And then for the media center, it'll be a mixture of all luxury vinyl tile, incorporating all those colors and creating some design. We haven't decided if it'll have the Del Air printed on or if it will be the logo, but it'll definitely have one. K-wing, so it'll have the same colors as that. We'll get those later.
No, yeah,
Yes.
one question when you have a chance.
Yes.
Broken down.
Yeah.
The multi-purpose, room, that's had some issues with the tiles lifting over time. And have we done any,
Moisture testing.
moisture
We
testing?
were going to as part of the contractor scope of work. It's already included. It was evident when we did our site surveying. You could see where that is definitely an issue. And it is already included in the specification. So we will be doing moisture testing in those areas.
Okay, perfect.
I had a question about the process for selection, because I know it was pretty engaged process
Uh-huh.
here. And then the second was, these are colors for the interior.
Correct.
We're not talking about the tiles on the exterior of the building. Those will not be affected. Is that correct?
What tiles are in the exterior of the?
Building.
The building,
Oh,
the,
There's brick in the main campus,
Yes.
and then there's tile in the child.
in the corners, yeah.
Yes. So the exterior will receive paint in those areas that are steel. Currently, there's columns that are in the fascia. There's a lot of red,
Red.
yellow. There's some areas with green that does not go with the color palette that was approved by the board. I know it looks red here, but it's really more of a burnt orange. It can't really show it here. Right, that's not the color. I know, remember when we met, we were like, it looks weird on the screen. Anyhow, So yes, we will be replacing the colors. The colors are still being put together. That's why I didn't bring those in terms of paint, but it'll all tie in nicely. Hopefully, as soon as I have that information, I'll bring that back to the board. The brick in as you enter the front lobby, that will remain. Once you enter the school, all the brick that is in the actual lobby and in the library is gonna be removed, and it's gonna go down to just the steel beams, because it encompasses a huge footprint, making it difficult, especially in the library, which is already limited for space, and for line of sight. So in the actual library, we're gonna remove all the brick veneer.
Just going back to Neil's comment, certainly on the exterior, understand the brick, it's that tile, the ceramic.
And the
tile,
wall.
White,
Yes.
I think it's white.
Yeah.
That's over the,
Yes, I know exactly where it is, and yes, that will be changed.
So,
there will be change.
Yes.
Okay, great, that was a huge expectation, I wanted us to clarify.
It wasn't initially in the project, but Greg can attest, when I drove by, I'm like, that needs to.
I was thinking it would not be consistent.
Exactly, it doesn't tie in at all with the rest of the campus, so yes, that will be changed.
No, I mean, what status of the project is it in design? What phase?
We have completed 100% DD, we paused until we bring a lease back contractor.
So shortly after the lease back contractor's on, you'll come back and present the status, the
Yes.
100% DD set?
Yes,
In essence, okay, thank you.
yes.
That'll give us an opportunity to further understand the scope of the project.
Right.
Because this is the color palettes and the layouts, but the actual modernization we'll see based on this plan.
You don't see the actual individual projects or,
The project
yeah.
itself and the construction. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. And here's just a close-up of what we're proposing, again, in the media center and multi-purpose room. As you can see, again, luxury vinyl tile, but it is an elementary school, so we're trying to make it a little bit, lighter and fun
is the
with the
stage,
shapes.
the stage is good?
The stage is in excellent shape. I personally walked it myself. The floor does not, we had it originally in the scope to refinish the wood, but it's in excellent shape. There's no need. So that is an immediate valve engineer option to remove and save money. Yes. Okay. Moving on to the next project. This is the last project that I'll be discussing this evening. It's the Success Learning Center, SLC/Futures Program Relocation. As you know, as part of the 135th and Aviation Sports Complex project, we are going to have to relocate the SLC/Futures program. You might recall from a previous presentation that we're looking to move it to the Da Vinci Connect /District preschool site, the area in the circle to the right. After I brought this to the board and the board was in agreement that that was a good location, we then took it further in our research and our investigation. Both Greg and I walked the site. We walked with Dr. Coleman, we met with Karen, we talked to end users. We looked at their current program, how it works, their space needs, and quickly determined that that's not going to be enough space. We have a plan, and that's the plan that I have brought to you this evening. But before I move to the next slide. Sorry, I know you want me to hurry up. This is the current program. This is a lease portable that we have now purchased, thanks to you guys. These are district-owned 224x40s, and this is the existing building that will be demolished. Our goal is to now, we understand how the program works. Currently, the Futures program is here along with all the staff. The SLC program is housed in one of these portables. The other portable is currently used by speech and some of the counseling staff, but for the most part, it's not used as a classroom. It's not needed. They only have 7 students and you can occupy up to 12. And this is the restroom building that we're going to be relocating. This space is not conducive to that.
You want me to use the pointer next time?
Yes, please. If I start doing it, it just does this. So that was the original slide that we showed you, SLC and Futures going there, relocating the restroom building immediately adjacent to the existing one that you see right below the red RR. That's another 12x40 lease restroom that has now been purchased as well. And the yellow rectangle was the other lease portable that has now also been purchased. So we explored some options, as you can see, in this slide. Try this and see if this works. See? Yeah, no, it's not gonna work. All right.
You're getting your step.
It won't be clear if I try to show you. So this is the existing playground. This is where the current building sits. It's hard to tell from here. Our proposal is to relocate the 60 by 40 building, this one. Bring it to this side here. This is the existing parking lot. There's parking here. And it also is encroaching a portion into this area here that is currently, I guess, county portables used to be here. They're no longer there. Da Vinci's using it for batting cages and storage of equipment, but primarily it's just storage at this time. So we would encroach about 10 feet into this space so that we can bring in the 12 by 40 restroom building here, which is in close proximity to this restroom here for easy connection of utilities. We would bring the two 24 by 40 portables that the district owns, again, relocate the building here. It would take their existing parking spaces, which is approximately, well, it's not approximately, it's 20 parking spaces, but we would make them up here. By removing the portable, you can see I've added a rectangle here because we cannot move. There's a transformer here that we cannot move. There's nothing here, but I presume we're gonna wanna add a crosswalk similar to the one right there, somewhere here, can't really see. And it would give us a total of, so we have 20 here, we would give them back 22. So we're giving them more. This would allow for the existing equipment, playground equipment to stay where it is. We would just run the fencing line. The only problem with this option, can you click the clicker so I don't have to run one, please? Thank you. The only problem with this option is that, really quick, sorry, I was just gonna say, is that it doesn't give them enough space to do gardening or put their picnic tables, which is some of the things that they currently do at their current site. The other option, and this is ideally our recommended option, I also reviewed it with the district, and the district seems to prefer this option as well, is to, even though the architect showed, doing that little notch here and saving some of the parking, it's not needed. We're making it up here. We're giving them the same amount, actually 2 more. My recommendation is to continue the fence line. That way we move the portable here as well. We provide the space for picnic tables, for gardening. We put the restroom building directly behind the other one for immediate ease of connection, put the 2 classrooms here. And it gives them enough or even a little bit more space than they currently have. It creates a campus within a campus. It's secure, it's safe, and it doesn't affect parking.
Would there be separate access to that campus from the Da Vinci, the part that the Connect kids are using versus the kids that are at the SLC Futures Plus program? They're very different age groups.
Exactly.
So,
That's why we would make sure you can see the fence line here. So the
Okay.
fence line would run here. It would be a campus within a campus.
okay,
It's completely separate.
okay.
Let me kind
Yes.
of quick question. That fire lane, does that encroach into the fields? The current layout, does that?
No.
So it doesn't?
No, it does not.
Existing,
It would maintain the.
It would maintain the current.
that would maintain the current.
All right,
Okay.
You can see it follows there. That's existing, what it currently is.
So the only thing is, there's been some conversations, I think that might be in the master plan, that we would look at adding, considering a baseball field there on the bottom there for our high school. So does that fire lane have to come all the way down there? Because we wouldn't be able to build a CIF approved baseball field.
You'll have that problem anyway, whether at the time when you go to build that field, you're gonna need to provide that fire access anyway. So my answer is gonna be yes.
So what are those 2 buildings down? What's down there? Because I have no idea, but by the tennis courts, there's those 2 buildings next to the fire lane.
I have not walked, every single
Those
space.
are, they're not, buildings, they're like awnings, like, shelters.
Because I'm assuming.
Which one, these two?
No, below.
Oh.
Yeah, because I'm assuming that fire lane extends down there for that reason, those two awnings or whatever they are.
It's
right?
to,
Like lunch area type.
Yeah, it's like a,
come on, it's to, reach, cover, for these buildings here. Is that district
No, that-
building?
it
Okay.
is, but I don't think it's.
No,
it-
No, no.
It's a Delaware County Park.
that's a county.
It just stops there.
No, it's a gymnasium.
That may be the gym, that may be district
That's the
property, yeah.
gymnasium, that's our
Yeah.
property, but I don't think that fire lane was there for that gym.
No, because the gym is from the parking lot.
Yeah. On the other side, yeah.
Well, this is the fire assessment that they did. It's very preliminary. We have not moved forward with any design. This was just a quick, options to review. But based on what they can see, this is what would be needed in order to properly provide, fire access to these buildings.
This will go, it's a I'm bringing it up because there's a conflict there.
If we put that into the equation
Yeah.
of the field possibility.
Well,
But you'll have to provide it for the field anyway.
I mean, and
We're already experiencing the exact same issues with the 135th and Aviation Field. We have to provide access in various areas of the field without having to go through it. And we're even having to add additional fire hydrants just because of the fact that there's no direct.
Just for the record, the field actually.
Closer
you are.
Yeah.
It actually encompasses, it's gonna go well into this.
That's
On both sides,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it like encroaches well into the, not so far here, this is softball, so this would be the softball field, it's only gonna go 200.
Yeah, it's the one down
Yeah,
there.
it's the CIF field that does
Right.
really encroach, I mean, deep into this.
So I think that, what I'd like to see, I guess to move forward, are those the location of these buildings, would they be in the way for the future baseball and the plan of the softball? Because if they are, then we'd be moving these again.
There is no design, as far as I recall, for the baseball field in the facility. Right?
It's in the master. It's conceptual,
Okay.
obviously.
Right, so the full layout and the space itself is detailed, like with the
Right.
general layout is,
Okay.
so, but if it's overlapping into that, then we'd be moving them there now, but also moving them when we do the new project. So that, we should look at that first before we finalize this. Because if they're not moving twice.
Agreed. Because of that, because we're already very close to summer, we're looking at potentially leaving the program as is, for the time being, not moving it, obviously. The good news is we already purchased the portable, so we're no longer incurring the lease fees. But we'll want to, get resolution on this very quickly because it involves new DSA numbers, new applications, design, and making sure that we don't end up moving these buildings twice.
What's the plan for demolition of the existing structure?
Our goal was to try to do it by this summer, but because we have not really found an exact location or option, if you will. I mean, we found this is a great site, but now that there's a potential of having to move these buildings for a future project, then we're looking probably at either winter of 2025 or summer.
What does that do to the timeline for the?
The project right now, based on our current schedule, is scheduled to start around March or April of 2025.
So this would push that.
That's why we would have to do it over winter break of 2024 or shortly after. Move everyone out over winter break, which is mid-year. It's not really ideal. It's doable, but it's not ideal.
so I would also say just to share, I mean, these are, I know they're modular, buildings, and so it could be a possibility that we'll have to place them and then move them. So we're going into this sort of knowing that. I think that we'll try to not, but the fact of the matter is the baseball field and the softball field, that project is way
Year
down the list. So I mean, we're talking 6, probably 7 years down the road, I mean, theoretically.
Well, it's technically our last phase of
Right,
Series D.
yeah.
They want to do is see if it, it was conceptual, right? We were talking about this.
The baseball field,
Yeah,
we're talking,
baseball.
yeah.
Is it even feasible in that? I mean, I don't know if you had that conversation.
An actual.
Is it even feasible to have a CIF approved field right there.
So it is, I mean, because I actually met recently, I don't know if Noemi was with me, but it does eat it eats into the hard court, that hard court, I mean, almost entirely. So you're basically the fence of the 300, I think it was 300, I forget exactly, but it's gonna line up right there just to I guess it would be just to the west of the tennis courts. So you're basically taking that whole chunk of playground out, and then it fits, because it extends fine north-south. I mean, to the north, it's not a problem. You can pretty much go as far as you need, but then you're taking that large chunk, basically where the tennis courts are, just west of those, all the way up to almost where you start seeing the red fire, you see the red, circle there. I mean, it's a big part of that.
There's so many components here, because another component is our relationship with the county
Mhm.
and that whole agreement, which is a year and a half away.
Correct.
And a request I would make is to ask the county sooner than later, what is the usage of the 4 tennis courts? And would removing one of those tennis courts have any impact on community usage now if we wasn't, so therefore we might be able to gain some space by doing that. So that's gonna be part of the equation anyway, so I would ask, who I'm turning this to, I guess you'd like to ask the county for what's the utilization of those courts and what impact would there be on reducing? I know.
Ellen is just reelected, so, there's no leverage.
But we gotta ask now,
I'm just
so
saying.
we get an answer by then.
We can have one of our architectural firms do a quick overlay to see how it would encroach. And
Yeah, I think that would be violent, presented at the facilities committee.
We can bring it to the Thursday meeting.
Okay, moving on to the end. We have been going on our roadshow, bringing, updating all of our schools and principals and our staff, basically on all of the projects that are coming up. We have already met with Del Air, Holly Glen, and with Aviation. I met with Aviation yesterday, and I'm scheduled to be with Weisburn Middle School very soon. We are also planning at a future board meeting, especially actually going to the facilities committee first and then to the board with our Series B priorities so that we can start planning for those as well.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Noemi. All right, the next item is board reports. Roger, what do you?
Thank you, Nelson. I do have a few items. Following up on our conversation earlier, and thank you, Kelly, for your comments on AFLAC. So I know Dr. Dugal has an update for us here on status with AFLAC. I would certainly welcome also some additional participation on that committee as that's formed. So I'm looking forward to the update in terms of AFLAC, but also as we move forward, seeing if we can also have multiple options for dental as well, similar to what we have for medical. Because right now I know we have as providers, we have Kaiser and Anthem, but we only have one dental insurance. So if there's an opportunity for us to have multiple plan offerings, I'd like for us to, or for the committee to also explore that. So we're not necessarily locked in to one, and then we have more options, just how we have more options under the medical. We can look at that. Let me see here. Along the lines of what we were just discussing with facilities, we were talking about the upcoming end of the lease, Dr. Silvers, with the county. So that one, at a prior board meeting, I asked that we start setting up, like, for example, a 7-Eleven committee of what are we gonna do for that, with that Del Air site? And should conversations or negotiations not go well with the county for that site, then we're ahead of the game. So if we could get an update on that at a future meeting, because the timeframe's coming, right? It's about a year and a half or so. So it's gonna take a while before we figure anything out, but it's nice to be able to get started now and not wait till the actual elapse of that contract or that lease agreement. I know we have the item for mathematics and the presentation for the Del Air site today, so I'm looking forward to those presentations. And the final item I have is there is a district at Santa Ana Unified School District that is very impressive in what they're doing with regards to artificial intelligence, AI, and curriculum. So Dr. Silvers, I'd like for us to have a future conversation as to how are we looking at within Wiseburn AI? Because it's definitely arrived, it's getting stronger, it's not going anywhere. So I'd like for us to really start to look ahead and integrate that. What form, what fashion, I don't know, but ChatGPT is all over the place, everyone's using it. Maybe our mindset of don't use it in the classroom for assignments could be switched around to do your assignment in ChatGPT and in class dissect how you can improve what ChatGPT just did for you. And really hone in on more critical thinking skills for our students, because I know they're using it anyway. And my thought is it's not going anywhere. It's only gonna get stronger. So we have to try to get into that spirit of AI, because like I said, I don't think it's going anywhere. So we can look at that and start planning for that. They would be very good for us. And that's all I have. Thank you, Roger. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. So I just wanted to take a moment to talk about neurodiversity awareness month, which is coming up in April. I know Dr. Ingram has got a bunch of things planned with our school sites, but Neurodiversity Celebration Week is a worldwide initiative that was celebrated every March. It was last week. And it challenges stereotypes and misconceptions about neurodevelopmental disorders and learning disabilities. Autism Awareness Month itself is celebrated in April and supports the idea that differences in the brain can be strengths rather than hindrances. Neurodiversity itself is a broad umbrella term that refers to variations in how people think and behave. And we see that in the classroom, we see that at home, we see that in the community. Neurodiverse individuals have very different ways of taking in information and processing it. They're creative and unique and out-of-the-box thinkers. And they may also show different behavioral tendencies. So I'm excited to see us embracing and celebrating those, providing more opportunities both for our teachers and our staff and other folks to deal with these, with people that make up 15 to 20% of the world's population by some estimates. And I was really happy last night to attend the district's program at Wiseburn Middle School on neurodivergence and inclusion at school and at home. So thank you, Dr. Ingram and Ms. Mazzarella for organizing the evening, and to Sarah Green and Ishani Gowrie for their presentations. They're two of our wonderful school psychologists here in the district. And thank you also to the 2 dozen or so community members who joined us for sharing their ideas and their questions. And I'm looking very much forward to more programming in the future to engage our families and community members, especially on these issues that affect our children with IEPs and other special needs, as well as just all of our families, and how we create a welcoming and diverse, embracing school environment and community here in Wiseburn. So thank you for all of that. And I also just wanted to say that Rock Around the Block is coming up in a little over a month on May 4th, and I'm super excited to celebrate music and the arts across the district with our Wiseburn Education Foundation and to see all of the wonderful performances. And so please keep an eye out for all of the information about buying tickets and bidding on auction items, and I'm sure they're still looking for auction items if they haven't. If you have ones that you want to contribute, you should reach out to them. So very much looking forward to that, and I know spring break is right around the corner. So also wishing everyone a safe and exciting break from school next week.
Thank you, Rebecca. Michelle.
Thank you. Just to piggyback a little bit about the AI, thank you for bringing that forward. I think that's going to be a very important topic. And so how are we going to be dealing with that as a school district? I think is a very important one. So thank you for bringing that up. I also kind of wanted to just think about the emotional wellness of our students with social media, and something just went around today about taking a pledge for wait till 8 and with smartphones. And I think that that is something important for us to look at as a school district, because I do firmly believe that we should be taking a stance about how we disseminate this technology, kind of going along with the AI. As well as physical safety. I know that comes up a lot around our schools. There's lots of things going around about e-bikes and safety around e-bikes and our students. And we want to make sure that we as a school district take a stance about safety and what we're doing to keep our kids safe.
Neil.
Thank you, Nelson. A couple things, again, hello, everyone. In prior meetings, I'd asked for a couple things that actually, in prior reference, had heard there's going to be upcoming reports. So one of them was I was contacted by a number of community members about our school calendar and relative to religious groups, or is there any way to honor their respective holidays, and is there any flexibility there? And I'd asked you to look into that on their behalf and our behalf. Another issue I'd asked in the past was the SLC and future reviews financial scenario. And I believe that's going to be upcoming, you had shared with me. So thank you, looking forward to that, especially relevant to the conversation we were just having. And ways we can make sure it is as effective, doing great teaching and financially viable as possible. Another item was, we had talked in the past about various our naming policy and the names we have for donors on our various school sites. And we talked about this. Is again time to review that. We're giving some free advertising and marketing, if you will, after some time, and kind of revisit that and relook at what is our naming policy and how long do these names get to stay up without re-upping. Also, I had a question, and it's on our agenda this evening, about developers fees. When do developers fees, I don't know if you can address this, when do developers fees take place? We approved them in our last meeting to increase them. When does that effectively take place? And when does that move forward? And I had what I thought was a terrific idea, if it's possible. We discovered that we were late to the game in raising our developers fees at the last meeting. And it struck me that we are voting every few years, having done this a number of times now, to raise developers fees after the county gives us authorization to do so. Can we flip that script? Can we instead set a board policy where we raise developers fees when they first can be raised by the county, and our vote is whether or not to raise them, rather than to vote to raise them? You with me? Does that make sense?
Kind of just like an automatic.
It's an automatic raise based on what the county says is viable. If that's to do, then we're not leaving anything on the table, and we can still vote not to do it, but that's our choice, rather than waiting and missing the vote. That was it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Just a few items for me. I had an opportunity to attend Da Vinci Science Exhibition Night, I think 2 nights ago, it was. Wonderful evening, students. It was great to see the work of the students, and the students did an amazing job the way they present themselves. They obviously know their work product exceptionally well, the material, the subject matter. Each of the pathways were well represented, so just hats off to the students and the presentation and their presentations. I also want to take a moment to congratulate Da Vinci Science on being named a California Distinguished School. So big hand of applause to them. And again, lastly, and I think we're all in agreement here, I think we've had conversations with regards to the topic of AI. And there are, and certainly support that AI is here, and it's just a matter of how we can embrace it, and what kind of guardrails can we consider, because there'll be some guardrails that we have to implement. Like Roger said, Santa Ana Unified School District is a district kind of leading on this subject matter. Just recently, El Segundo Unified just hired, I believe, a consultant that came in and presented on AI and the entire kind of program where you do an assessment and talk about some of the guardrails that you place. So kind of like that there's some other districts that we can kind of learn from. So I think that I concur with my colleagues here that we should definitely start looking into it. And I know you started, Blake, and I think I definitely look forward to looking at to hearing a little bit more about a formal program in this area. And that's all I have. I turn it over to you, Blake.
All right. Sorry, I'm off my agenda here. We are good to go to, actually, Albert, can we move you down lower on the agenda? I'm just kidding. You know. No, I know, I see your senior, thank you. Sorry it took so long, for us to get to you on this. Sir, Noemi was only supposed to be 10 minutes and, you know, it took 35. So we'll just call up Albert. Really happy to be able to hear the Del Air presentation today.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, board, Dr. Silvers, cabinet, Wiseman community. Thank you for this opportunity to allow us to give a little Del Air snapshot. I also want to thank our PTA board president who came out to support our school tonight. Thank you, Mr. Anthony. Today, we're just going to give a snapshot. There's a lot going on. We're going to talk fast. We were told that Noemi took so much time, and I know you got to end that. But please, if we need to slow down, let us know. With me tonight, well, can we click it right here? All right, so tonight we're going to focus on how we're using our district assurances to engage, empower, and elevate our students and staff. We're going to focus on future ready, student-centered, and safety. My team here presenting math will be Mrs. Smiley and Mr. Mendez. Their focus will be future ready, student-centered in the area of math. For student-centered and safety, I have our school counselor, Mrs. Suarez, who will be presenting on what's going on with FWS. And I will close out with student-centered and safety presenting on PBIS. Okay. Sure.
Hi, it's nice to see you all tonight. I'm Emma Smiley. I'm the coach and mentor at Del Air Elementary School, and Mr. Mendez and I are going to present on math today, so we're just going to switch off a little bit. But as you can see in the engage section, that's kind of some of the things that we have done and the things that we're kind of continuing to do. Our first goal is that we're protecting our instructional math time, and so that's something that teachers recently got a chance to kind of reevaluate in their schedule that had been set, and they're thinking about ways they can prioritize their math instructional minutes in our upcoming school year. So that's an ongoing conversation. We've increased our number of TCTs per month that have been dedicated to math, and we will continue to do that. Grade levels have been working to align their math assessments as well as look at performance tests in both upper and primary grades. The IABs provide a nice chance for the upper grade teachers to use some SBAC prep to work in some performance tests, but Holly Compton, our district math coach, has also been helping to extend that work to primary grades and thinking about ways we can engage primary students in performance tasks, just to start getting them thinking in that kind of space. As you all are aware, we have our 6 teachers who have been piloting math adoption, and they, I believe, took their vote this afternoon. And in my realm, in the coaching world, 4 of our 6 coaches and fellows have been focusing in math for the past 2 years, specifically in CGI and cognitively guided instruction.
Here we go. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mr. Mendez. I'm happy to be here. So some of the things that we're working on in the classroom is regular math TCTs. We're working a lot with Holly Compton, who has been with us in the district for this past year and done a lot of support with us in that realm of using the facilitated math time to really collaborate and get our grade levels aligned and talking on the same topic, which is math. Narrow the focus of TCT, which is exactly what she's helping us do. Making sure that we are talking based off student data. So as Ms. Smiley was talking about, the IABs and using that IAB data to focus and narrow down on what areas we need to support our students in a little bit more. Like that said there, data talks also with Sarah. Thank you.
I want to add that Sarah has been instrumental with all the resources that we have available to us. When Sarah comes to work with our grade levels, she really helps streamline the process. She asks teachers, what's the data that you need? What is it that you're looking for? She helps them find that. She helps them with the item analysis to guide their decisions on what to teach next.
Yeah, so that what's next process has definitely been facilitated. Thanks to Sarah. Thank you again. Star Math, so going over Star Math data and looking at what areas are the areas of need for our students and focusing in on that. IAB data, same thing. And visiting schools in participating lab days. The Colton cohort has gone to other schools, learned through their process, came back and then started implementing in our class, and then going back and forth and seeing what's worked or what still needs additional support. I am very fortunate to be a part of that process where I get to go learn, come back, implement, and I think it's been a positive impact. Yes. So our aides on campus have been trained on how to support math. So that's been a process that's been ongoing throughout the year. Protecting and increasing of math minutes. So really focusing on protecting our math time and making sure that everyone is using their designated math time for math instruction. Small group during WIN for all grades, which has been a great thing that's been driven by data. Once again, thanks to Sarah's meetings with IB and those TCTs, we're able to use that data to focus in on what our students need the most. Using exit tickets as formative assessments, allowing teachers, I for one can use that to see what students need the most support. So if there's a target of the lesson and the target is missed by a handful of students, easy enough. When time, pull them all together, pull them with me, work in small groups. So it's almost immediate feedback versus waiting until a formative assessment, or summative assessment, sorry. Vertical articulation is something that thanks to Albert, he's helping us out with that as well. With vertical articulation between upper and lower grades and kind of seeing what do we need our students to be prepared with when they come to us or before they leave to our next step. Speaking for me, when they're going to 6th grade, what do they need? Learning more about pilots and making a decision. So that's one thing that we did this year.
So this was created, this is future tense, but I created this before the decisions were made. So now we're gonna be able to talk about the new adoption versus pilots.
All right, well, you guys gonna tell us the adoptions that you know, or is that, when is that coming?
That was my report.
Okay, well, we're gonna wait for that. Keep the suspense going. That's good.
Keep it suspenseful for a little bit.
Right.
But we will say it with everyone was very, we'll say that. So release dates for grade levels to work together and select priority standards, something that's going to be coming up come the fall, which is something that I'm very excited for, getting to revisit that process. I know that process started before I got to the district, and it's something that we're going to continue to make progress in, right? Anything you want to? No? So you got the last one, yeah.
So I'm excited to announce that our school has been selected to do a post-fellowship year with the Coates Foundation, just like Aviation Elementary School has done. I'm very excited. One of the schools were selected. So just like Aviation had done this school year, they're working on their post-fellowship year. We're 1 year behind them in kind of the trajectory of Coates. And so we gave a survey to our staff, and we're pleased to say that we are going to go ahead and move forward with focusing on CGI for our entire school next year, along with our pilot or our new math adoption. So kind of finding the common ground in those things. So we're very excited.
That's exciting.
Right, so one of the things that Mr. Mendez forgot to mention, because you guys were rushing us.
Yeah, we're trying to get through all the information in a.
Yes, one of the,
Lingo and.
yeah, right, no,
Yeah.
so. Through the formative assessment, through the exit tickets, we're finding that, yes, we do have students that need that additional support, but we also have students that need enrichment. So that's another thing that we are looking into. We're trying to figure out ways of how to provide that extra enrichment for our students that are, they are just want a little bit more, because we want to keep them engaged as well.
And not just extra work, things that are just a little bit more engaging than just extra work, giving them time to work on other projects that may be of their interest.
So up next, we're going to talk about SWS. Again, that's focused on student-centered and safety altogether. To talk about that is Mrs. Suarez. She has joined our team this year as a first-year counselor. I mean, not a first-year counselor in general, but first year at Del Air. And we're excited to have her. And
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, not first year counselor, 8 years in, but I'm super excited to be here and having joined Del Air. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how we're currently engaging our students in SWS. So we are, I am facilitating the TCTs for SWS. I meet with all grade levels, TK through 5, because that's my school, once per month, and then we have a whole school staff meeting.
I'm able to do a lot of different things such as engaging students in different topics such as kindness week, right? So not just to be kind, but showing them and teaching them how to be kind in different creative ways depending on their grade level. We are also increasing vocabulary, something that I am trying to make sure that teachers are incorporating more into the day-to-day and how to talk to students in developmentally appropriate ways, so they can learn more of the SEL type of vocabulary. I know that some of our grade levels, such as first grade, have created Kindness Seesaw, so that's an online platform, again, to engage students in SEL type of work. Go Noodle, a really great active type of activity for students to do. Teachers are continuing to work on Second Step. We're also, being part of CORE, we're also really excited about the discussion that we've been having about the new SEL adoption. And then something else that we're doing is in the mornings, having morning meetings to address current issues. For example, today I stepped into a classroom and did a community circle about sportsmanship. And then also, oops, how do I go back this way? Lastly, school-wide community building activities. So that looks like we have like this huge bulletin board in one of our hallways, and I make an effort to ensure that students are doing a creative piece. For example, going back to Kindness Week, after they do their lesson, they can turn something back into me so that we can display it. So their effort is being shown and they can see it and talk about it and be proud of themselves.
Can you just remind us what SWS means?
Of course, student wellness and safety.
That's an impressively filled acronym slide.
Yeah. This one's a little short. So again, continuing to empower our team by facilitating those community circles. My hope is to one day empower teachers to be able to run them as well. During TCTs, we're able to process the student data that we're collecting and evaluating their students' needs. We are able to engage in a lot of really great conversations by having a safe space to talk. Something else that I'm really proud of is we were able to create, to kind of bring back the game and coloring room that is open during lunchtime. So some students just don't want to be outside during recess. They prefer a more quiet environment. So they're welcome to come and they can play with board games, they can color, they can play with magnet tiles. And so that can fulfill them during that time. And some of our students with sensory needs, just being in a more quiet environment is helpful.
Excuse me, at Del Air, where is that space?
Yeah, we are currently using the GMC. Yeah.
The NPR.
Yeah.
NPR.
Mhm.
So it's right next to the lunch table, so after the students eat, rather than go play, they can go to the game room.
Okay.
And who staffs it on?
Yeah, it's our supervision staff.
Our yard
Yeah.
supervisors, but just in the rotation, one of our yard supervisors is in there. Yeah.
And lastly, plans to elevate. SWS is to secure time in our schedule for SEL lessons, continuing with morning meetings and send-offs. And again, we're just overall excited about the new adoption and can't wait to get started on that.
My turn. So under the umbrella of SWS is CORE, which is Community of Respect and Empathy. Under that CORE umbrella is PBIS, which is how we create a positive behavior intervention support system. All right, got that? We're gonna be tested. All right, so we found out that we were recognized as a platinum PBIS school at one point, and that's because we were constantly changing and meeting the needs of our students. We were constantly looking at data, changing, reporting to the state, and we applied and got it. I think we're about due for a reset, and this year, this is what we did. We formed the core team. The core team is site-based, and they also join the district team. So we have a district core team and a site core team. They work together. So our core teams meet once together as a district, and then we meet separately as a site. So as a district, we set overarching goals, and then as a site, we're very specific to what we do. So there's 2 meetings a month, and part of what the core is doing right now, they're guiding what we call the majors and minors. What are some of the things that teachers could possibly handle in the classroom through a conversation or whatever it be, or what are some of those things that really need to come to the administrator? So we're having those discussions, and that's how we're engaging our teachers and students. Through the way we're empowering them is that we're using Educators Handbook to gather the data. So as things come up, we just input them, and this data is able to tell us where the mistakes are happening, what's the area where students need more reminders. Like, for example, we'll notice that all of a sudden we start getting soccer incidents or Foursquare incidents, just one after another. So then we'll use that data to either talk to the students or send an email or visit classrooms just to talk about appropriate play at Foursquare. We have monthly meetings with our yard supervisors. We set those reminders of what their role is, and we seek their feedback. Well, how can we improve and what can we do to support? And I meet regularly with RAS just because we have the same students who are on the same campus. We want to make sure we're aligned in our practices. To elevate our PBIS program and our teachers, we want to bring in educators into the classroom. We've had Educators Handbook for several years now, but different things have happened that have blocked us from just moving forward with it. So it's been an office tool. We want to take Educators Handbook, take it into the classroom so teachers can then start tracking their data as well. And we can start tracking school-wide data, indoor and outdoor together. We're revisiting our expectations right now. When we first started our PBIS process, under one area, we had like 35 expectations, and we just want to bring those down a little bit. And we are going to visit our SOAR acronym to more kid-friendly language, because scholar, we all want our students to be scholars, but why not just say student? Things like that. So we're going to have these conversations in the future. And thank you all for listening. We'll take your questions.
Any questions?
What's that?
Sign the slide. That's great.
Well, thank you. That was in collaboration with Erica Corder and Mrs. Smiley.
Style and substance. Well done.
I just have so on the Educators Handbook point and how we're like tracking student behavior and stuff, I guess it's a little triggering for me to hear tracking different incidents that, and how that follows kids and, and that sort of thing. So could you explain a little bit more about what the Educators Handbook is?
Yeah.
And where it lives in the sense of like students' records versus like, how we share that to parents and things like that.
Educators Handbook does not travel with the student. It is more to gather the school-wide data, where infractions are happening, and with the mistakes, what areas we need to focus on, where we need more supervision. When something goes into Educators Handbook with a student, usually there's a phone call from me, the teacher, just to let them know about the incident and how we solved it. I think I didn't talk about, I think I missed the part about how we work on restorative practices as well. Our goal is always to have a restorative practice. So after we talk with the student, it could be as small as just a simple reflection, and it just varies. I could sit here and give different examples, but it's late and I can't think of one right now. But did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, thank you.
Any other questions?
One quick, and I'm not sure if it's a question for you, Albert, probably for you, Dr. Silvers. With the guiding coalition, with the teacher collaboration time, with the core meetings, I think it'd be instructive for us and maybe the community as well to understand in the master schedule, where does all this happen? How much time is dedicated? What is happening in each of these? Because top of head, it's too much to get to. And I hear about this, obviously I can spew the words, but what do we actually?
So at Del Air, we have a very committed team. And I say that because we're able to build teams with different teachers so the teachers aren't having to be on multiple committees. Some are. For example, Mr. Mendez is one of our guided coalition leaders, and he's also on the math adoption committee. And also a site rep. That's his choice.
So but as far as schedule now, I think it's looking for the schedule district-wide. What is happening?
So I can answer. So what we were doing previously is our TCT time was allocated for grade level time, right? And we're going to focus that we're using that area primarily for math. What we have is a time on Wednesdays, which is our professional PD time, that we use some of that time for this work as a whole staff. And then our committee, such as the core team, will meet on a Thursday after school. So it's usually after school and not during the day.
So just, I saw the teacher collaboration thing.
Yeah.
So I think twice a month in math, right, is what's taking place, right?
That's what we were doing, but we're revisiting all the TCT time for next year.
And that TCT time is how much duration?
It's twice per week.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, it's once a week during PE time.
Once, okay, that's.
I want to add, because it is a district-wide, initiative, and I'd say, Dr. Goldman had asked that we put together kind of a schematic and so that we're actually showing, we have done that. I mean, we have a schematic, it's in design. I was actually gonna present that with our priorities for so it wasn't gonna be until like July, August, but it's gonna come in with our priorities, so you can see like as we move into next year. Because it's not just Del Air, it's also the middle school, and just to see it collectively and all of these initiatives sort of working in concert, I think would be good. So we will have that, I was sort of strategically holding it.
Suspense is good.
Yo, it's suspense.
Why not?
Well, Albert, thank you for the presentation, and to the Delaware team, fantastic, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And really just one possible request, or talking about student wellness.
Yeah.
I would like to, in the future, when appropriate, I'd like to go visit a few local wellness centers that are near my districts, because I know I think we're kind of utilizing some existing spaces, but I would like to see what these wellness centers look at some of these other districts nearby. Make sure that we're meeting those. I know we're meeting it from a programmatic standpoint, but I would like to look at what one looks like from a physical standpoint.
Do you mean like the game room? What do you?
A wellness center is like
Wellness centers.
it's like a full, it could be what you make it, but I mean, it involves, you could have vision screening, dental check, you can actually have a health center, like a doctor, nurses. So it's an all encompassing, you can have psychologists.
Within the school site.
It's usually attached to a school site or a separate location within a district that everybody can access.
This government is at a conference that many school districts are doing this, so I want to kind of go take a look and see what that look like, right? So-
Yeah. Because I think that's in the plan for aviation, there was in the master's plan, there was like at least space to be built out that would house more of like the counselors and the service providers, because they don't really have that much room.
Yeah, that's.
Portables in other places, so that's why I'm curious what we're.
So it's a little different. So yes, that was actually restructuring the main office at aviation to make it larger, make it more amenable to, I mean, it just needs to be redone, frankly, and have more spaces cut out, maybe expand it so we can add those spaces. The wellness center is almost like, it's like essentially like a doctor's office. What you're seeing is this expansion, community schools movement, the community schools initiative has really pushed that forward, where you're providing these extensive wraparound services to the students. The issue with Wiseburn is that we're not, our socioeconomically disadvantaged population isn't high enough to really be eligible for those. You're really looking at, I think it's 80 or 90%, if not above 90%, student population like that. So you're seeing a lot, Hawthorne's done some wonderful things. You've seen it in Centinela Valley and so forth, where you have those large numbers. There's been some talk that there may be some offerings below that, but it just hasn't happened yet. So the funding is hard for it, just to be frank. Yeah, I mean, it's just a tough thing to fund.
Sarah, come up.
Like to begin my 3-hour data tour. Good evening, members of the board, community, and cabinet. I'm here to present to you our local assessment data. So Blake has presented to you our district priorities and our vision and mission, and all of the wonderful things we put together to go with our pillars with Dr. Goldman. And tonight we will be focusing on the how of accountability. Here's been our journey this year. In October, I presented you with state and local assessment achievement data. Those little circles are your brain teaser to remind you. In November, I brought you state and local assessment data with comparisons to other districts that are similar to our own. In February, I brought you the state dashboard with our gas gauges of growth. That's what I'm calling them now. In March, that's now, I'm bringing you our end of third quarter Renaissance STAR math and reading data. This data is presented each year. It's a pretty decent gauge of where we are and what we might see on CAS. Just a very quick reminder, Renaissance is a computer adaptive program, very similar to what the students see on the state assessment. It branches. They get a question. If they get it correct, it branches up, gives them a little bit of a harder question. It keeps branching up until it is determined that that is their level of mastery. Or the other way, it branches down, they get it wrong, it continues to branch, it can also come back up. So it provides us with a pretty decent gauge of that student's achievement. It assesses a broad range of skills across the standards for the entire grade level. It identifies a continuum of all of our math strategies and skills that our students need to reach grade level proficiency. Teachers, as you have heard from Mr. Paredes, that they receive overall proficiency data. We look into the skills reports. We look into standards mastery reports. One of the wonderful things that teachers are provided with is Renaissance in their skills reports will identify a group of students who may need to be accelerated in a certain area or have some remediation. And it provides them with resources that are pre-built and ready to go, plug and play through an app called Nearpod, which does have a lot of AI built into it.
Is that used for win time?
It is used for one time. It's also part of sometimes the teacher's instruction because they might find that all children need this skill. Yeah. Let's start with our reading data. We're going to start with our growth data. So kind of like the growth gauge, the growth fuel gauge. Greater growth is typified by a student who's in a student growth percentile of 66 to 95. What they do is they take all those students across the entire nation and say, you are a similar profile to these other students. Are you growing more than they are or less than they are? Greater growth, you're growing more than students who have a similar academic profile to yours. Typical growth, you're right there in it. Less than typical growth, you're just a little bit behind the curve. So this is a national percentile looking at students based on their academic profile over all of the years they have been in Renaissance. So it gets really good right around third grade. In 2022-23, we saw a typical or greater growth in 60.7% of our students. That does not necessarily mean that they achieved and met those standards, but they are definitely showing greater or typical growth than their average compatriot across the nation. This year, we're having 73.2% of our students show typical or greater growth. That's out of approximately 1,800 students. But what does that mean in terms of achievement? Last year, 54.4 students met or exceeded the standards on our STAR rating assessment. This year, it's about 60.4. That's an increase of about 6, actually, it's exactly 6 points. We will see, usually, we can see about 10 percentage points meeting CAS. So we're looking at about a 70-ish% of our students meeting or exceeding the reading standards when we get our CAS scores back. I would go down maybe 1 or 2 points, but that's pretty much where we're heading. What does that mean by grade level? The second grade test is a much easier assessment. Students are just really getting in, and it does not have a firm alignment to CAS. Starting in third grade, it's a pretty accurate gauge. We can see that it trends up in 6th grade. There's a little bit of a shift. We do have a large population that enter our middle school in 6th grade, and that continues to grow as we go on. We want to see the blue bar get bigger and the red bar get smaller. What does this look like over long term? Well, in 2016-17, we were at 61.67% of our students proficient or advanced. We are almost back there. As of this year, we had 60.39% of our students proficient or advanced. So we had a little bit of growth, the pandemic, and now we're kind of coming back around. Oh, let me do this. Math. Again, our student growth. Last year, we were at 65.8% of our students showing typical or greater growth. This year, we're at 68.6, so a 3% increase. Achievement, last year was 41.5. This year, it's 44.6. So we are trending in the right direction. When we look at grade level, again, that second grade test is a little easier. We want to see the blue bar get bigger and the red bar get smaller. This is how it lays out across our grade levels as of this March. But what does that mean for our long term? We picked up this test in second grade during the pandemic as it was a requirement, and we fully implemented it in 21-22 across first through 8th grade. That's why we're only able to go back so far on our longitudinal data. But you can see our blue bar is getting bigger. As Mr. Perez referred to, we are really immersed in the data review process, which is paramount to our PLCs. Teachers are getting the data, they're reviewing it, they're making next step decisions, they're working within a grade level to lift all the boats, to make sure that everyone is working together, and then taking it again, so that we're always making sure we're checking back on ourselves and that all children are receiving what they need. Oh, too many clicks. So next steps, we are just wrapping up our physical education testing. Lauren Shackstad and the PE department at the middle school have been just fantastic in getting that accomplished. In March and April, Holly Compton has been working with TCTs on CASP, really focusing on the 3rd through 5th grade teachers on how we can increase that rigor and provide our students with the opportunities to see those kinds of problems and make sure they understand what they're up against. Not up against, what they're working towards. In April, I will be going to, bless you, all of the grade levels to review the math STAR data with them and to go over what we can do to end the year strong for all of our students. April 29th will be the launch of our CASP season. It will go through May 24th. 3rd through 5th grade students will be taking ELA and math, as well as our 6th through 8th grade students. But our 5th and 8th grade students have the added benefit of also taking the science assessment.
I have a question about that. What kind of preparation are those teachers receiving, or are those students receiving for the CASP?
So Holly is built slides for every grade level for math. And for writing, we have a writing boot camp that all of our teachers are doing. For science, they are all working on our NGSS science textbooks, and it does have test prep built into the units that they're working through. Did that answer your question? Thank you.
Well, I guess because there are the IABs for science now, right? So
Yes.
Are they taking those as well? Or?
There are some teachers that are taking them, but we've really been focused on math this year. So math IABs are really, we don't want to over-test our students, but yes, we have been looking at those and teachers have been pulling problems. Thank you. The middle school, on the other hand, took apart the entire CASP IABs because it's subject-based, biology, life science, rather than grade level based for the middle schools. We had the whole science department sit down and go through the entire science CASP, and each of them said, well, these questions are really prominent in what we've been teaching right now. And then they looked at them and gave them to their students and went back and reviewed the data. What they found from the data that stood out, and Ms. Kiana Clark worked really hard with them to build this, their vocabulary on their own assessments and the way they were asking questions did not line up with how the students are being tested on CASP. So Kiana Clark has been working with them to provide time to really reevaluate their assessments. So the IABs that came out this year have really been helpful. In May and June, we'll be receiving our individual student CASP data that will go home, and a letter will be placed into every child's report card envelope for them, how they access our scores. And those scores are accessed through the parent portal on PowerSchool. We are being told that October-ish, we will start receiving our CASP state dashboard information. We will see, but October is the target date. I will take any questions.
Questions?
Thank you.
Questions? Thank you. Thank you.
You have a report, I think? 10 minutes.
We need the drum roll.
Good evening, yeah.
Yes.
So just two things tonight. We did have our final math committee meeting this afternoon where we worked toward consensus on looking at both iReady textbook series and the Eureka Squared or Eureka 2 textbook series. Both are in the lobby, and I just want to remind anybody who would like to come by, we're open 8 to 3, and it can be viewed by the public if they want to look at the products that we piloted in all of our schools. But they did come to consensus today on Eureka Squared, which they'll be coming back to the school board on April 23rd to provide a more thorough explanation of their reasoning and to ask for, of course, your consensus on that as well. Second to that, we are following up with our March 1st PD on the professional learning communities, and we're doing that by offering release days to each grade level. So anything from kinder, first, second, all the way, middle school will work, of course, 6, 7, and 8 together. But the point of the day is to look at that very first critical question that the PLC asks, which is what do we want our children to know and be able to do? And so we're pulling together our grade level teams with Holly, specific to math, to pull our essential standards, to unpack those standards, and from there, write learning targets. And learning targets are kid-friendly language that reflect the standard and allow children when they walk into a classroom to see on the board exactly what's going to happen that day, what they're going to learn. So those are really important days. They're going to go on through May and just one in June. I think we're paying for that out of Title II, which is specific to this kind of need. So very happy about that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Super quick update and specifically answer Mr. Bonnell's questions regarding AFLAC. We've heard all the complaints and concerns and questions, and so we have been working with the national AFLAC team as well as the regional AFLAC team. Second week of April 8th through 12th, and then again, April 22nd to the 26th. The national outreach team will be out in the LA South Bay area, meeting with all of the dentists that Weisman employees go to kind of help them process the claims and figure out how coverage is handled. And then also, another presentation at the April 23rd board meeting is the AFLAC team will be here to also present and give an update to the board and to the public in terms of what progress they've made in terms of the providers with billing, with claims and such. So we do hope there's resolution and also looking at the different offerings that we can get for dental coverage.
Thank you.
Just a quick comment on that, if I may, that we're all very frustrated. The school's frustrated, the teachers there's frustration around. I want to, however, acknowledge that you've handled this with grace, and we're not mad at the messenger here. We appreciate you taking the brunt and also leading us to a better solution moving forward. So thank you very much.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, just a few comments. Appreciate the AI conversation. On that note, we actually decided to write our LCAP this year with AI. So
The board members is actually
Just
a
kidding.
hologram right now. We're trying to figure out which one.
No, but what we have done is we've actually started working with Erica on building some GPTs of our own, some unique GPTs specifically related to some health, safety, where you basically load all of your emergency preparedness, protocols and procedures, letters and all of that, so that in the event of an emergency, we actually could use AI, could use ChatGPT to write messages to families, messages to in a much quicker, more efficient way. It's pretty amazing what this can do, looking at board updates and things like that. So looking at it more from an administrative standpoint at this point, more organizational, but certainly we've definitely heard and seen a lot as it relates to student learning and just learning in the classroom. I know it's taking off a lot in the high schools. You are seeing a huge impact in the high schools as things like this certainly trickle down. Just utility is more it's just heavier in the high schools. But definitely open and willing and wanting to have those conversations moving forward. Also want to share, I did have a long meeting with Noemi. I think Sheree was there as well to look at some of our projects and particularly looking at once the Series A projects are done, what we bring to this board is some recommendations for some of our Series B projects. And just to say, I mean, we're not just making these things up. They are in the master plan. We're not just sort of arbitrarily making up project lists, but wanting to see based on the money draw or the potential draw that we can have with that Series B. Also, some of the overruns that we may see with Series A dollars, what we can bring to the board to just keep us on track related to that. So we will bring that to the board, probably summertime, I'm thinking, as we get probably Noemi, maybe summertime type presentation to bring to the board for that. So excited about moving forward with some of these projects, some of our next projects. Also want to say I just really appreciate the teachers' participation, Noemi for doing that, but we have had, she did share the project roadshows going to each of the school sites to share updates on the projects that are coming. Really the most impactful project right now, soon is going to be the solar project. That's going to be all encompassing. It's going to take all 4 of our school sites, parts of those parking lots, if not all of them off. One of the projects that we're going to do, or one of the tasks that we need to do prior to really to getting into that is we're going to create a quasi parking lot on the lot that now is on 135th and Aviation, just to allow for some overflow parking, because a lot of our teachers and staff can actually use that and pretty easily get to the middle school or Aviation. Frankly, probably Holly Glen too, for a little bit more of a walk, but definitely there's that opportunity. Summertime's going to be the bulk of it though, so we're going to try and mitigate it. But we are up against that timeline of having all of these cantilevers, the solar panels up by December. Really aiming to that December, just so we make sure we secure that money. It's millions of dollars, right? So we want to make sure that we secure that. Had a chance over the last month to have 2 meetings with Matt, long meetings with Da Vinci, really looking at some of, I think we heard today talk about articulation, across our grade levels, but also looking at how we can better articulate into the high school, looking at some CTE programs. In fact, had a call yesterday, me and Matt made a call yesterday, looking at some grant writers that could help us look at some of the CTE programs. Right now, we kind of landed in part on robotics and music media pathway. Those are 2 pathways that we have somewhat developed. They're very developed in the high schools and somewhat developed in the middle school and even in elementary, but wanting to really flesh those out and figure out how we can do that. Part of the plan for the music media pathway has always been to build out the former library, at the middle school, at Weisboro Middle School, and make that more of a music media pathway type location. So looking for some different grant funding opportunities where we could actually pay for that. Again, trying to leverage funds outside of bond dollars so that we can do some additional work and take advantage of that. So really want to say that I really appreciated that meeting, those meetings. I think they've been very productive and excited to continue them. Also wanted to share that I had an opportunity to, I'm on the CBOC, Citizens Bond Oversight Committee for El Camino College, and had a meeting yesterday evening with El Camino. Just what an opportunity some of our students have, students that may not be ready to make decisions to go to 4-year universities, may not get into the 4-year university that they want to go to and want to wait. El Camino is such an awesome, it's the work that they're doing there, the facilities that they're building are just really, really impressive. The new music building and student health. It's just all in, they've really left no stone unturned as they've planned. I think it was a $350 million bond when they went for 2012. I'm off a couple of dollars there, but it was something around that. And so I just wanted to share, not everybody has the same path to learning, the same path to school. And when you have these options around, it's just really, really awesome to see. So I just wanted to share that. I also want to thank a lot of people, Alicia Galindo, who's not here with us. I know all of our principals, our staff, teachers that have to withstand. We have a lot of tours during this time of year. tours of our campuses, our TK parents and, our sixth grade parents, these entry points into our schools tend to have these high level tours, high number tours. I think Kiana gets 70 to 100 people at her tours and elementary schools are getting 30 to 50. I mean, it's ongoing. It's not just one tour and we're done. I mean, it's an ongoing effort to keep people informed. It's, and it can be intrusive to classrooms. It can be intrusive to campuses, to the staff, but it's also important. So I just think it's, just want to show my gratitude or share my gratitude with everybody that has to sort of, that adds to that, those tours. Also had a chance, lots happened, everybody, just a lot going on. We did have last week a recreation committee meeting. I know, Nelson had shared, we've been talking about this, and this is a follow-up to the request by Nelson to make sure we had this recreation committee meeting. And so we did, and had representatives from AYSO, from Wiseburn Little League, from USA Girls Softball, or they call it WAGS, Wiseburn. I'm gonna mess up what the A is, but anyway. Oh, Wiseburn Aviation, there you go. Wiseburn Aviation Softball, girls softball. And so and Da Vinci Schools was there, really trying to figure out how to utilize our footprint of fields so that everybody has access. There's some equity, there's a process, trash is getting picked up, all of those good things. So I thought it was a really productive meeting, a real positive meeting. Talked about some of the fields to come. We have some fields in the works here that hopefully will be in operation and used very soon. So just want to thank all of those that attended that. I also want to share, and I think Nelson shared this as well, but had a chance as a father to visit or to join Da Vinci Science for the exhibition night on one day this week. And it was this week. Yeah, it was one day this week. Can't remember the date. But just, if you haven't been to one of those events, you just have to go. I mean, it's just one of those things as a parent, as an educator, just to be able to see just the enthusiasm of those students and presenting, some are fun, they're funny presentations and they're serious presentations, and there's a lot of learning that's happening and just excitement about what the students are presenting and showing and exhibiting, or exhibiting, I guess is the right word. It's just a really, really nice event. So I just want to say my hats off really to the students, for putting together just the energy and enthusiasm that they exhibited. And I just want to get a clarification. I want to ask, I know, Michelle, you mentioned safety, and you mentioned e-bikes and cell phone. Is there a ask from that? Are you asking us I want to bring back what you're asking us to bring back, so I just want to clarify.
I don't think there's a specific ask at this point.
Okay.
I think that we need to be aware and just kind of feel out what our needs are, because I think it's so new that I don't even know if we know what our needs are yet and what our role is in that.
Yeah.
So I would just ask that we just keep paying attention and keep an open mind and kind of look out to see what our needs are.
Okay. And I would say e-bikes have been a big issue really around the South Bay. It hadn't quite hit Wiseburn, but I know Manhattan Beach, Redondo, Hermosa. And so I think we should connect with Kiana just to really see. It would be at the middle school, of course. I think I even saw a bike at Aviation, a big old, it was a big old electric bike. I was like, okay, that looked dangerous, but.
My fifth grader may or may not have an electric.
Oh, it was all right. So we need to, so definitely we'll take a look at what we can do. And there's definitely a playbook for that. I mean, there's other districts that have had to address this, and we could certainly bring policy back to the board. That's been tested and vetted. That's it for me today. Just those things.
Thank you.
Wendy's giving me the Israel hurry up.
All right, if it's okay with the board, I'd like to request that we take a motion on 9.2 through 9.8. Consent items.
I would move 9.2 to 9.7.
Okay.
Just a quick question on 9.
Okay.
Second.
Do I have a motion for 9.2 through 9.7?
You have that.
Thank you, Neil.
Second.
Thank you, Rebecca. Any questions?
So 9.
On any of those items?
So wait, hold on. This is the consent item though. So if we do, we have to pull them off. So we're pulling out.
Oh, 9, 8, 9, 7, 9,
9.
9 is very quick. And Wendy, if you could put up
Do-
9.
How, can we move it and then answer the questions and then vote for the whole consent agenda at one time? That's-
want to vote separately on 9.
9, yeah.
Because of the reason there.
Yeah.
I get it.
That's your
Okay.
fault.
All right, okay, fair enough, fair enough.
So take 9297, let's vote.
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. 9.8, do I have a motion?
You have a motion with a question.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Roger.
And Wendy, if I can close on you to put 9.8 up, this is a question, I've noticed this every time, I used to know the answer, it's probably very quick, I hope. It's just something I've forgotten. If you could clarify for us why there's the top section, what makes that distinct? 9.8?
No.
Oops, it was the one we were ready for.
It's the one we were ready for, too late.
Yes.
Oh, you're right, I did screw that up.
So, on that, all in favor on 9.8?
It's 9.7. It's-
Let's bring it up.
I don't need to, it's,
Purchase orders or receipts?
it is, purchase orders. It's just the top section. Why does this section exist? What makes this different than the rest of it? Anybody?
I would love you to explain it.
The top section, so these are the purchase orders between, you see where it says approved purchase orders, PO, et cetera, et cetera. Those are the purchase orders between that area that are less than 2,500. So there are purchase orders that are for $100 or $500 or $1,000. But those add up in that section where it says 2324 and add up to 55,321.87. That's those, the small purchase orders.
So there's nothing in maintenance repair equal 17,200 that's
No,
exceeding
there might be-
$2,500.
Right, there might be 25 things, 25 POs in there that add up to that, but they're very, very small. And then the other ones that are over 2,500 are listed below that.
So the threshold is $2,500 or less.
Correct.
You're summing them up by category.
Right.
Yeah, and that was a board directive for yeah, I mean, certainly happy to take a, maybe with the finance committee or the budget committee, if we want to come out with a different model for that, more than happy to do that.
I told Neil that, you didn't remember.
You did not. No comment.
All right,
I know.
do I have a motion on 9.9?
So, well, we have to now vote on 9.8 because
We did vote, I said all in favor, you want to say aye, right?
I
Did I say
I
aye?
don't know if I.
I did say all in favor.
You did. Do it
I
again.
did say all in favor.
Do it again. Do it again.
Do I, okay, I have a motion and a second on 9.8, right? All in favor?
Aye.
9.9, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Rebecca.
You have a second.
Thank you, Neil. And with that, I would just like to congratulate Quan Tron on his promotion to Director of IT. Thank you, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
I'll vote on it. Aye. Again, congratulations, Quan.
You have a motion for 10.1 and 10.2 together.
Fantastic. Neil, look at this.
I'll second.
Thank you, Roger. Any questions?
May this not be needed.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right. How about, do we want to take the facility items as well, 11.1 through 11.3?
So moved.
Thank you. Who's that? Was that Michelle?
It was Rebecca, I think.
Rebecca voted.
Oh,
I
Rebecca, I'm sorry.
moved.
And then Michelle second, was that Michelle second?
Not that I can.
All right, thank you, Michelle. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Noemi, for your explanation time on the questions I had.
Yeah. Next item is personnel, right? Personnel. Hold on, is that 12?
I think there's a question on this too, so you may want
I'll move with the question.
Okay, thank you, Neil. And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Roger. Question?
My question was, this is specifically for ELD, I believe. However, it's so generic, it's not specific to ELD. In fact, it looks more relevant to math. So help.
Yes, so for the last few years, we have tried to align job descriptions to the needs of the district. And so we had multiple TOSA or specialist positions out there. And so what we have done is created a general TOSA position for our school district. And within that, if there is a need for math, there is a need for science, and now we have a need for ELD, what we've done is we've added the specific qualifications or description for just the ELD portion. So yes, if you see there's bullet points for math, there's bullet points for ELA, for science, even to support student services. And now with the new ELD restructure, we wanted to do that. And once again, this is in a way within HR to ensure that our job descriptions are aligned with the needs of the school district and that we aren't creating kind of multiple positions that someone 5 years from now looks back and says, why do we have a science one over here and then we have math over here? So they're all the umbrella of a TOSA.
When you go out and hire for the ELD person though, do you take out all of the other things?
It'll be there. So when we post this tomorrow on EdJoin, in the job, on EdJoin, where there's a part for it to put a description, it'll say specifically for ELD. There will be a specific section to answer questions around the ELD focus.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic. All right, upcoming dates and events, Weisler Middle School has a parent caregiver coffee tomorrow morning. I think Kiana just left. Spring break, April 1st through the 8th. Want to obviously wish everyone a wonderful spring break, the staff and the families. Aviation Elementary has a variety show on April 11th at 3:30, and Weisler Middle School has their 8th grade dance coming up Tuesday, April 16th from 6 to 7.
So I'm inviting any board members if they want to chaperone the dance.
I remember, I think Neil asked. He missed the last answer. He missed the last
Yeah, right,
answer.
exactly. All right. So,
Any other dates?
no, I mean, I would just say Rock Around the Block, which isn't on here, is May 4th. So looking forward to that.
Practicing his violin.
Okay, I think that concludes our board meeting. Do I have a motion and a second to adjourn?
I made it there.
So moved.
Thank you, Rebecca. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Michelle. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
You're done.